This is a review of the T-Zone Digital Tempu03 humidity and temperature data logger. I bought two of these on Amazon for about $20 each. The unit comes in a small box, and inside that box is a little manual. It's a pretty good manual. Also in the box is the unit itself. The back of the unit has this rotating door for the coin cell battery. The battery is a 2032 model that you can buy for about $1 each in bulk from Amazon. So if you just want to get using the thing, it couldn't be easier. You just put the battery in, hold down this play button for about 6 seconds, and then the OK light comes on. And at that point, it starts recording with the default settings. And then you can put it in the location you're interested in monitoring for a day or a week or a month. Then you take it out, you remove this cap, plug in the USB into a USB-A port. So the device itself mounts as a USB drive, and as soon as it does that, it stops recording and generates these two files, and the two files appear on the drive. The first file is a CSV with the raw data so that you can import it into a spreadsheet and manipulate the data in any way you like. The second one is a PDF where the program has picked out some useful data, like, for example, the minimum and maximum humidity and temperature that's been logged over the recording time, and this handy graph, which can give you a visual representation of how the humidity and temperature has varied over the time period. Finally, further down, it'll show you the raw data. It's super easy to get started with the device and to collect the data off the device once you've done your recordings. But you are very quickly going to want to be able to configure the thing, if only to set the clock so that the data you collect actually has the correct timestamps on it. And to do that, you need to download the configuration application, the location of which is conveniently written on the side of the device. So you type in the URL and it downloads an executable installer, and you run the installer and the application appears on your machine. Now, it's a PC-only application, there's no Mac version. Here you can see the graphic interface of the program, and right at this moment the data logger is not plugged in, so when I plug it in you can see it mounts and generates the files, and notice that the program has detected the data logger and extracted the data from it. Clicking on the report tab you can get the graph or the raw data or the highlight statistics. The parameter tab here is probably the most important because it lets you adjust the time zone offset, and just know that it doesn't actually show the correct time until after you press save and then you remove the device and plug it back in. So it's hard to tell that the correct time has actually been applied, but it really has. You can also adjust the default logging interval. So by default it's once every 10 minutes, but let's say you only wanted data every 1 hour, you can adjust it here. You can also adjust the delay from the play button, the time at which it starts logging data, after you press the play button. So the default is 10 minutes, but let's say you wanted to wait an hour before it started logging data because you were going to take that long for it to put it into a fridge, and you don't want the temperature spike at the beginning of the graph, so it just neatens your data out a little bit. There's an alarm section over the right hand side. Now the alarm section doesn't really do anything. The device doesn't make any noise or have any lights or anything like that. It just seems to highlight in the data that the temperature or humidity has gone outside the preferred range by highlighting it in red or marking it in some way. Once you've made any changes, you press the save button and it loads the changes to the device. Next, we've got the database tab, and that lets you sort of do searches on the data that's in the CSV spreadsheet. I've never used this, but you can if you want to. In the settings tab, it lets you configure the language and the date format of the program. It also lets you set up mail settings and configure a custom logo that appears in the PDF. Finally, you can turn on something relating to FDA 21 CFE Part 11. Now, I have no idea what that is, so if you do, perhaps you can tell me in the comments. The About tab just shows you the version of the software, and it checks to see if there's a later version available. And finally, the Help tab opens up the instruction manual that comes when you load the program, and it just opens as a PDF. And last of all, you can click the exit button to quit the program. So the reason I bought these devices was because I own a pair of wine fridges, and I wanted to make sure that they were controlling the temperature and humidity correctly. And I bought two of them so that I could compare what was happening with the temperature inside the fridge to what was happening with ambient conditions at the same time. Now, it turns out that the fridge does an absolutely excellent job of tracking temperature, keeping a very controlled temperature. And based on the data I received from the units, I do not believe it's actually doing anything actively with humidity, but because the fridge is effectively a sealed unit and there's no air exchange with the outside world, the humidity is pretty constant. So I found out what I want, which is that my wine's being taken care of. It's funny, once you own one of these devices, the use cases tend to pop up every now and then. For example, at work, we had a refrigerator that was cold but didn't seem cold enough, so I was able to chuck the unit in and prove that yes, the refrigerator was faulty. And in another example, I work in IT and we had a tape backup unit that was throwing an error saying humidity is too high. So I was able to throw the unit into the computer room and confirm that humidity was absolutely constant and therefore there was a problem with the tape unit and not the humidity. And this probably saved me weeks arguing with the vendor. Now, as I said, I paid about $25 for mine, and as I look on Amazon.com, I can see one advertised for $180, which is ridiculous. I'll put a link down below to see whether that price changes over time, but I don't expect it to. Don't pay $180. I found another listing on AliExpress for 25 Australian dollars, which is less than $25. So that's about how much you should pay. Okay, that's it for this review of the Tempu03 humidity and temperature logger. If you liked the review, then please return the favour by giving me a like. Thanks for watching.